Hi, this is our first session of our Call to Action coaching group, and this video is meant to kind of stir your thinking before we get on our group coaching call together. And the focus or the theme for this first session is life-giving transformational leadership. And it's based on a passage from the 10th chapter of John, verse 10, where Jesus says, I have come that they might have life, comma, and that they might have it more abundantly. Interesting choice of words, don't you think? He's talking about abundant life. In this instance, he's not offering eternal life or everlasting life or even an easy life. He's talking about life's abundance. So that's the first question I'd like to give you to ponder. And that is, what does an amazingly abundant life look like for you? You know, Eugene Peterson, about 20 years ago, stirred up an image for me that's haunted me over these last 20 years, and it was found in the preface to one of his books called Working the Angles. And in that preface, he gives the image of a pastor as a shopkeeper. And he talks about us as just restocking the shelves and keeping the customers happy. Ouch. So the question I'm really interested in this first session is, what does ministry look like in our time beyond just restocking the shelves and smiling from behind the counter? And I would suggest that there are two core ingredients to what it means to be a life-giving transformational leader in the church. And that is sustaining a meaningful spiritual life and the ability to lead from an adaptive perspective. Let's talk about the spiritual life part of that first. One of the sad histories of spiritual leaders, one of the ironies is that we struggle to maintain, many of us struggle to maintain a rich spiritual life. I mean, we preach about it, we teach others, we know its importance, but on a daily basis, the demands of ministry to others become more important than our own needs to take some time aside and find that time for spiritual nourishment for our lives. And then we find ourselves kind of adrift. At a gut level, we know what it's like without a set of spiritual practices to kind of lubricate the gears of our own personal relationship with God, and we know that we will be less than God intended, will be prone to depletion, and will be kind of off balance in ministry. Oh, we can fake it. Yeah. We can perform ministry for a while. But sooner or later, we wind up struggling with being authentic, and not only in our relationship to God, but also in our relationship to ourself and to others. Maybe some of you have a sense of what I'm talking about. Ministry today demands leaders that are tenaciously committed to maintaining a vibrant spiritual life through the disciplines of prayer, meditation, silent study, lectio divina, prayer walks. I don't know, maybe you do ab crunches for Jesus. I don't know. It almost doesn't matter what, but to have something that is your soul sustaining practice. And doing so usually comes right down to being able to keep boundaries and the critical ability to juggle between our own spiritual needs, our family time, our professional time, our time with friends, all of that coming together. You know, pastors were not meant to become one-dimensional, overworked servants. We just weren't. people with no life beyond the church. Too many of us kind of revel in that role. We kind of, we get off on that. And at the same time, we're modeling all the wrong things for those who are looking to us for guidance. I believe that God intends for us to be totally committed to God's ministry, but I also believe that God intends for us to have this, each one of us, this big, beautiful, colorful, amazing, multi-dimensional life that is filled with joy and that is filled with fulfillment. Those two do not have to be mutually exclusive. So I want to ask, how are you doing in the realm of maintaining your spiritual disciplines? What would be needed to take it up a notch? Something else worth pondering is, if Jesus took time for prayer and personal devotion with God, who are you not to? Well, I want to shift now to the other part of what it means to be a life-giving leader and a transformational leader, and that is the adaptability piece. And really, there's been a lot written lately and a lot of talk about adaptive leadership. A lot of that comes from Ron Heifetz's book, Leadership Without Easy Answers. And in that, he explains the difference between technical solutions and adaptive challenges. Technical solutions are generally straightforward fixes. The other day my car quit running and I took it in and found out the battery was dead. I had them replace the battery, and that was the technical fix. But the adaptive challenge was that took half of my day. And so now I had this whole day of things planned and I only had half the day left. So the adaptive challenge was to decide which tasks were more important and which relationships I needed to make the time for. The technical solution, for high blood pressure is, and a lot of us have high blood pressure and struggle with that, take medication for it. That's the technical solution, is to take a pill. But the adaptive challenge is really to make the lifestyle changes, to make changes in our diet or our exercise or our stress, all things that contribute to that condition. What I'm talking about is the difference in the world of comedy between a scripted, a comedian who goes on stage and all the jokes, he knows what the punchlines are going to be, and improv. It's the difference in aviation between a pilot for commercial airlines who has a flight plan and a radio tower to tell them where to turn and what to do, and hang gliding. We're living in a time that demands the adaptive challenge of improv and hang gliding. So in applying this concept to leadership, Heifetz says that it is important for a leader to recognize the difference between a problem that can be easily solved and a problem which is going to require others to change their values, their behaviors, or their attitudes, and especially in learning a new way of operating or being. He observes that the single biggest failure of leadership is to treat adaptive challenges like technical problems. It could be said that in the church today, the single biggest failure of pastoral leadership is to treat adaptive challenges like technical problems. Say we need more young people. So if we only had a projector, if we could only project up on the screen, that would bring in the young people. Well, that technical challenge alone is probably not going to bring in young people without some other and wider and more substantial